Villain hurts environment, kids show up, kids summon Kurt Russell, he saves the day, teach lesson, catchy song. However, every now and then an episode stood out. Some for their touchy subject matter, some for their complete lack of shame. Oh, don't worry, I will get to you soon enough.
It's time. Very rarely does something just piss me off. Yeah, some stuff will irritate me, maybe get under my skin, but this, I'm more pissed off at this than the entirety of last year's Family Guy month. Let's get this over with. I give you Captain Planet's magnum fucking opus, 12 Angry Animals, starring one angry critic. So we start off with our teens climbing Mount Everest. Why are they climbing Mount Everest?
Still not sure why we are climbing Mount Everest. Because it's here?
Because we need a distraction.
Do any of you know why you're doing this? This isn't something you just like go do because you're bored.
Gaia thought a change of pace might help restore our spirits.
Okay, so the eternally wise mother spirit of the earth, Gaia, thought it would be a good idea to send 5 teenagers to climb the highest mountain in the world with barely any supplies and a fucking monkey. Why spirit of the earth my ass? So the team gets to the top and sees it's littered with garbage and... Wait, is that a fucking fridge? Is the show trying to say people would actually climb Mount Everest to throw away the refrigerator? I'm gonna need this. At the top of the mountain, Wheeler finds what he thinks are Bigfoot prints and starts recording with his camera.
Bigfoot footprints.
Wheeler, those are your footprints.
After Lincoln and Muddy call him out on his stupidity, the gang follows a trail of snow leopard prints because, I don't know, we're trying to find the plot.
We gotta find shelter.
And soon, before we end up Planet Popsicles.
Well, maybe if Gaia prepared you to climb Mount Everest, this wouldn't be an issue. Wheeler uses his ring to warm everyone up, but this causes an avalanche because starting a fire on the side of a mountain is a good idea.
My ring!
Can I see that again?
My ring!
No. Note to self, make second video about how fucking retarded that was. You know the worst part about this is the fact that now he can't hit me with the give a shit ring, and man do I need it. After getting back up the cliff, Matisse spots a snow leopard and tells everyone that they need to follow it because... Potatoes, the fuck if I know. He just has this weird obsession with snow leopards right now.
I am hoping we see a snow leopard. No leopard. No, Wheeler. Those are snow leopard prints. Let's follow them.
The snow leopard leads the Planeteers into a trap, what a dick, and they get dropped off in some cave. However, they aren't alone in this cave.
Hey, how'd this hairball get on my lens? Bigfoot!
Oh, I can't wait to see this.
You are free to go,
No.
but you will surely perish in the storm.
No.
It talks.
And I have much to tell you.
No. Yes, the late Tony Jay, the man who voices my favorite Disney villain, is playing Bigfoot. Look, man, I know you've taken some questionable roles in your career, but I wish I knew what part of your brain said yes to this. Okay, so they met Bigfoot. What does he want?
We brought you here to decide your fate, to be tried for your crimes.
Book 'em, Dano! Book 'em! What are we being charged with?
The extinction of your fellow species.
So, who's gonna try us?
jury of your peers.
You've got to be fucking kidding me. That's like putting a suspected rapist on trial and asking Tumblr to do jury selection. Now, this is where things start to get fucked, so buckle up, kids. And if that's not bad enough, those same animals are acting as the prosecution. Fair court my fucking ass. What was it with the 90s and just having super corrupt courts? First up, we have the woolly mammoth and Kwame. The mammoth says that humans hunted it to extinction. Yeah, because climate and habitat changes have nothing to do with it. Blatant lies aside, Kwame explains that it was for survival.
Back then, humans were not aware they were wiping out the species. They were only trying to eat and stay alive.
The boy has a point.
Then we get an elephant bitching about the ivory trade. Counter-argument, it's illegal. Moving on. Next we have a seal and Guy. The seal argues that early intercontinental trade wiped them out, and they picked the lowest common denominator for this one.
Christopher Columbus?
I see my name is known throughout the world.
By the way, nice crotch shot. The argument here is that our completely unregulated trade system from several hundred years ago killed off this seal. Fair enough, but how does the ignorance of people from the 1400s have anything to do with the kids in 1994? What's really sad is that they try to work in the killing of baby seals, but it's just glossed over. You had a point there, and you skipped it. You could have had a much better point that would have actually made some sense given the time period. Next up, we have a pissed-off Tasmanian tiger, and he brings Mati back to 19th century Australia. The tiger claims that it was European ranchers that killed off his kind. Why?
Maybe not yet, but I got me an investment to protect, and I ain't fool enough to stand by while that Tasmanian tiger gobbles up my profits.
Okay, couple things. First off, have you ever heard of a fence? 2, people that moved to Australia didn't invest in farms for profit. They were most trying to make a living. They weren't some, evil, money-hungry, greedy people. 3, studies have shown that the majority of the population of Tasmanian tigers were wiped out by a hunting competition from the indigenous people and dingoes. 4, there are still confirmed sightings of them as recent as 2008 and several more unconfirmed sightings that came out in 2012. You're not even extinct. Get the fuck out of the courtroom. Fine, what's next?
Rodney and Dangerfield?
No, I never got a human name. You wiped me off the face of the earth without even knowing I existed.
This is the weakest argument in the whole episode. To sum it up, this is Ferngully. Go watch Ferngully and you basically understand this part. We do get a pissed off grizzly bear telling us to stop bulldozing forests. Again, watch Ferngully. Also again, grizzly bears are still around, in multiple countries. You know this show is bad when I'm telling my viewers to go watch Ferngully. Finally, we get Lincoln on a butterfly. Now, I'm going to concede this portion because, butterflies aside, they dive into air pollution, which is actually a big hot-button topic even nowadays. So this one I will give them. It's presented to a way that would make sense to anybody not just in the 90s, but even people today. You get 1. So after all the arguments given by the prosecution, it's time for the Planeteers to defend themselves.
There is no defense. There is no excuse.
Or just give up all hope and cave. That works too. So, what's their punishment going to be?
We could have let you die. Instead, we sentence you to live with the knowledge of all the destruction humankind has wrought.
Okay? Don't really see how that's a punishment since, it's what they're already doing. Bigfoot uses his Bigfoot magic to shoot the Planeteers up into the air and back down into the cave.
What happened? We fell through the ice. The question is, where are we?
Dude, you were just there. Are you telling me that you completely forgot everything that just fucking happened? on with it! Monty finds his ring, and we get 2 minutes of fluff with Captain Planet. You know, because he's in this show. Wheeler loses his evidence of Bigfoot, and they still have time to cram not 1, but 2 Planeteer alerts before finally ending this pile of shit. This genuinely pisses me off more than Seahorse Seashell Party. I have never seen a show stoop this low. Half of the arguments presented can be dismissed with 3 seconds of thought. They use blatant lies to brainwash their audience. Humans are portrayed mostly as greedy, single-minded assholes. And all of this just to make you feel guilty about shit that most of us had nothing to do with. I wouldn't be so pissed off about this if the show wasn't aimed at young children. If recent animation has taught me anything, it's that children can be taught complex ideas as long as it's presented in an entertaining way. Captain Planet has shown that it knows how to teach kids how to save the environment, but this episode teaches one thing. Humans suck, and you are just as guilty as everyone else because you were born into the same species. If the fucking Planeteers are guilty, what chance does a 7-year-old kid have? I'm gonna need a lot more beer.